Welcome to my SummerSlam review, ladies and gentlemen. You know, I'm going to be honest here. I didn't have a lot of high hopes for this SummerSlam. I did not. I really felt that a lot of things in this show was going to be bad. And to be honest, there were some good things in the show. But overall, was it a good show? Honestly, it was a predictable show. It really wasn't that great. I say it was, with some matches in there, it was maybe above average. Let me get into this. The kickoff with RVD and Cesaro was, let's put it like this, Cesaro can do a good match. RVD can do a good match. But did I actually care? Not really. I didn't care if RVD beat Cesaro and didn't care if Cesaro didn't beat RVD. Both these guys, I didn't really care that much about in this match at all. Don't get me wrong, I still love Cesaro. I really believe he has great talent. He needs the right manager, the right gimmick, and to be properly featured. And we didn't get that. Sorry, my allergies are messing with me. But in the end, RVD wins, but I didn't really care. The opening of the show, the IC Championship, Dolph versus The Miz. You could say easily was the third best match of the night. Easily the third best match. It was not bad at all. It was the third to me. But Dolph wins the match. But does he really gain anything? No. Dolph getting the IC Championship for the second time does not mean he's going to be featured like The Miz. The Miz was giving more time to that title. The Miz had Miz TV so he can be properly featuring the title and himself. And on commentary, even though it was quite annoying, at least he spoke. But I'm not going to get that from Dolph Ziggler. And I'm not saying Dolph is an alright talent. As much as many people don't like Dolph, I believe Dolph should be in the main event, but not a main event player. As I've always said about Dolph. Dolph is that type of person that can be easily a short transitional champion of 2 or 3 months. So that would show that he's still a credible threat to anyone that you really want to do a storyline around. Sorry, I'm going to do this throughout the show. Unfortunately, my allergies are really messing with me. But you get my point of view. If Dolph is a good talent, he should be in the main event at least to promote other feuds or to close feuds if it's necessary. He's not really a main event player. He's really more of a supporting actor in the main event. That's just my perspective. The Divas Championship. Oh my goodness. I've said this well ahead of time. If they turn Paige crazy, this will be stupid. Now, I was still seeing them beginning to turn her crazy. I was hoping they would make this as a tactic, not as an actual attitude. But when you see the match, which was actually pretty good, it could be the 4th match of the night easily. The problem here is this. By the end of the match, Paige wins it. She wins the title back. But then they start calling her, she is creepy, she's crazy. And that is when Paige became absolutely irrelevant. Because this is a bite off of AJ herself. Does this mean the feud is going to be over? No. It's going to keep going back and forth who is more crazier. And I've said this before. If they just made Paige a regular, hard knocks heel, it would have been better. But we're not getting that. We're getting a crazy Paige, which is stupid because it's not going to work for her 100%. Eventually, you're going to get tired of it very quickly. You're going to look at AJ, you're going to look at Paige, and you get tired of it. Next, the flag match between Rusev and Jack Swagger, the trucker as I call him, the man riding down the road in our 18-wheelers, making sure our country has the supplies it needs to continue its dominance in the world. You know I'm kind of screwing with you, right? Jack is not even close to that, but I will say this about Jack Swagger. He's never been a face. They've never tried to make him one. But in this case, because he's so corny, he pulls off a face well enough that people can get behind him. When the soldiers came out with the flag, I believe that was the Army. I couldn't be sure. It looked like the Marines, but it looked like the Army flag. That was with the American flag. I could be wrong. You guys can tell me below. But I think there was a lost opportunity. It would have been better that the Army soldiers brought the flag down themselves and stood there, saluted, for Jack to come out and he salutes back. That would have been more patriotic than him walking ahead of them, not really shaking any of their hands or saluting. I believe the WWE had a really lost opportunity there to really make the troops look good. In the end, the match was okay. But the thing that makes this match maintain its feud is what happened at the end. Rusev puts the camel clutch, the accolade, on Jack Swagger. Jack does not tap. He passes out. Now this is something it's not like we haven't seen it before. I mean, it's been done so many times since the beginning, with Steve Austin doing it to Bret Hart and looking dominantly good at that moment. With Jack, he pulls it off, well, generically well. Put it like that. This will still promote their feud, but I believe they need to do something to up the ante on this. A flag match is not going to be enough. They got to give us something else with this, or this is going to get incredibly stale quickly. So I hope they give us something new. Maybe a steel cage match. Maybe a ladder match for something. Something to go with this match. With their feud. Next, I believe the second best match of the night. I already said the IC Championship is the third. Paige and AJ was fourth. This is easily the second best match of the night. I'm sure people are going to say it's the best. Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose's Lumberjack match. To be honest, I wasn't really seeing anything good from this. It wasn't going to be a bad match, and I knew it. They were going to do some decent work because they worked together long enough. They have some good chemistry. It was going to be alright. I really didn't feel like it was going to be great. But it was great. They didn't stay at the ring. The Lumberjacks didn't always stay together. They broke into factions. They went outside the ring. They went into the arena. They went running around in the arena. They eventually got back into the ring. Kane comes out to make some trouble. Eventually causes the match to become totally meaningless and everyone started fighting each other. In the end, Seth Rollins hits Dean Ambrose in the head with the Money in the Bank contract. Where do we go from here? Simple. It's two ways. One, this is the person that's going to be built up to face someone credible. We don't know who yet. This is Seth Rollins. Dean Ambrose, for what he's gone through, really has established himself as a very strong, rugged individual. Very strong, rugged face. I don't believe they're going to break the feud off yet because everything is not set up for them yet. They've proven now they can do a damn good match that can bring the house down, and which it did to a certain extent. And I really believe that in this respect, Dean Ambrose, between him and Seth Rollins, is more of the more presentable one that will be good for the future. Seth Rollins, who is a great Jeff Hardy, basically, type, will also have his moment in the sun, but not right now. It's got to come at the right time. Dean is a better subject to be used in another type of feud that could actually work. Now, this isn't in order, so I'm going to do Stephanie versus Brie Bella. I want to get it over with now. I've said this so many times about this feud. We don't want to see it. We don't want to hear about it. We don't care anything about it. But we knew that this is something different, and this is something that's being shoved down our throat on top of it. So it was something that, even though we don't care about it, it is different, we didn't really want to see it in the first place. So when the match came out, it was a bit surprising to see how it unfolded. But it doesn't mean it was great. One, Stephanie, Stephanie's titties look good. I'm not trying to be nasty and racist, ladies, if any ladies are watching. But Stephanie looked very good in a nice dress, a nice ring attire. She wasn't wearing a dress. She was wearing ring attire that showed a lot of cleavage, even though it was heavily black, showing her large breasts, showing her curves. She kind of reminded me of Trish Stratus, the clothing, not the style of her wrestling. Don't get it twisted. Stephanie can never come close to Trish. There is no way. And even Stephanie doesn't even look as great as Trish. Don't get it twisted as well, but Stephanie looked very good. And between Brie and Stephanie, Stephanie had a better ring work to a certain extent. And I'm sure if there's anyone who's a Brie fan is going to say, dude, she's terrible. Let's be honest here. To make Brie look good, Brie has to have a partner that makes sense. And Stephanie did a decent job. She did. But in the end, what do we get? Triple H coming out. I understand that. That's her husband. This is what I wanted for John Cena dealing with Nikki Bella, for goodness sake. But then when Nikki comes out, standing by her sister's side supposedly, and then wants to nail Stephanie McMahon, what do we get? Stephanie gets help from Nikki Bella, knocks Brie to the ground, Stephanie picks up and pedigrees her, and now we're going to have a feud not just with Stephanie and Brie. It's going to be, I believe, really, honestly, I don't believe that Stephanie and Brie are going to continue now. I believe Nikki and Brie is going to continue. Stephanie will instigate it, which I understand that. But do I want to see this? Hell no! The women that they built Total Divas around is now being promoted. Total Divas hasn't come out yet. I think it'll come out in September. It's understandable why they're doing this, because they want to build a rivalry between the two dominant people on the show. One who's dealing with Daniel Bryan, one who's dealing with John Cena. I'm saying and understanding why they did it. Do I want to see it though? No. It was a hard pill to swallow seeing Stephanie and Brie. But now seeing Nikki and Brie? No. Particularly that Brie doesn't interact with John Cena, which would make sense with John Cena unless John's going to do something with Nikki. This makes no fucking sense. And a standpoint of the show for Total Divas, it does. But in storyline wise, it doesn't. So I'm going to put it at that. The match that I know people are going to say, dude, you're wrong. Jericho versus Brie. I'm about to say Brie. That really pissed me off. Jericho versus Bray Wyatt. Now, there was no Eric, there was no Luke, there was nobody to interfere. And they had a very good match. They have good chemistry. This is my point of view, ladies and gentlemen. And I hope you understand it. Bray Wyatt has not been promoted, has not had any wins. He's had great ring segments talking. He's had great attacks against someone like a Sheamus, like a Jericho, like a John Cena, like a Daniel Bryan. But tell me, you can tell me below, honestly, when was the last time you seen him have a win on the major shows like SmackDown and Raw? Was it a month ago? Tell me. Because when you see this, a character like him can't fully get over just talking and killing someone outside the ring. They have to have ring wins to go with it, to show that he's dominant. And let's be honest here, even though everyone loves Chris Jericho, before he came back, he got his ass destroyed multiple times by Dolph, by CM Punk, by anyone else he was teamed with. So to me personally, even though they did build him to a certain extent decently well, I really believe he was a great threat to Bray. And on top of that, Bray wasn't that well built either. He has been so weak, to me personally, just because he can kick ass outside the ring doesn't mean he can kick ass in the ring. And even though he won this match, and to a certain extent the crowd was into it, I didn't really feel the strength of the crowd. By the time it was over, you guys tell me below, did you hear them chanting, "You got the whole world in your hand" very loudly? No. And in the middle of the matches, they were going, "Let's go Bray" and "Let's go Jericho." They were split. So that shows you that the crowd wasn't 100% behind him. That makes him just still weak. So when we see him on Raw, if he's even going to show, which he should, I don't see what's going to be great for him going on. I'm sure he's going to still be dealing with Chris Jericho, but honestly, he just still feels too weak right now. The WWE has destroyed this man. They could have done something great with him, and they've ruined him. I don't really care, even though I still love him. Now, the match of the night to me, and I'm sure you're going to say, oh, he's going to say John Cena and Brock Lesnar. No. Roman Reigns and Randy Orton. Randall Keith Orton actually did a good job here putting over Roman Reigns. It was one of the best matches of the night. I believe, to me, arguably it was the best match of the night. Because when you see how the entire match unfolded, the crowd was just really into Orton being a heel to a very good extent, even though there were quiet areas. They were kind of burnt out what happened with with Jericho and Bray Wyatt. They had quieted a bit. But when you really see it, it was the best match. And in the end, Roman Reigns came on top and he was dominantly strong. I really did enjoy this match the most for the entire show. And I believe that if they continue the rivalry from here, I would be alright with it. I would. And I hope in a sense they do with some type of benefit from it. Maybe a contract signing or something. Even though they're not going to do it, it would really help the entire feud. Now lastly, the one I really didn't care at all. John Cena versus Brock Lesnar for the WWE Heavyweight Championship. I didn't care. At certain parts of it, I just walked away and did stuff in my kitchen. Came back, see Brock Lesnar dominant. Went away again, came back. John Cena had some flurries. Went away, came back, and Brock finally won. Do I actually care? No. You know why? Because there's nothing really interesting about Brock Lesnar because he's not there. He probably won't be there much even after this show. If he stays there for about a month, I'll be surprised. But in the end, Brock really done nothing for me. John Cena has done practically nothing for me. I had no interest. There's been nothing from him. Him saying, when are people going to tell me to get rid of the t-shirts, get rid of the hats and the sneakers from Kmart, and unleash hell? Well, John, I'm sorry. You've done the same stick like this for a long time. And let's be honest, we're bored of it. If you had interacted with Nikki and then used that with Brock Lesnar, I would actually be invested in that. I want to see you show emotion as a person. Being a Superman does not mean I'm interested. I'm sorry. I said it before and I'll say it again. The 1938 Superman did nothing but just write newspaper reports, fly around, save Lois Lane, and stop the bad guys. No real personality. And that's what we got from John Cena. If he had interacted with Nikki throughout this and then Brock got into it, it would have given us more depth that not only he's defending his title, he's trying to protect his woman and her honor. But we're not getting that. I'm bored with that shit. I didn't care who won it. If John won it, I didn't care. If Brock won it, I didn't care. I didn't see anything good from it. So, how do I feel about this entire SummerSlam? Average. To above average, to be honest. Even though some of the matches were very good, because of the builds on most of them, they were terrible. Look at Jericho and Bray Wyatt. The build was terrible. So I almost had no interest at all, even though it was a good match. Stephanie and Brie, I had no care for them at all. I knew that was something different, and I was interested in something different, but I didn't give a damn about them. And then incorporating Nikki into this made this completely uncaring for me. When it came to Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins, I am interested in seeing how far they're going to go with this. The flag match is also an interest because really there was just no tap out, no pinfall. It was just basically he passed out. So that still makes it interesting enough that we may want to continue watching it. And the IC Championship, no one really cares. But who is the one that's going to be seen more? Would it be Dolph? Or would it have been basically The Miz? I think it was The Miz. So giving up the belt to the Dolph Ziggler doesn't mean we're going to see the title much. And I don't really care. So I hope you enjoyed the Zane's view. Please give me a comment below on this SummerSlam 2014. And I will be getting to you as soon as possible. I'm going to see if I can do another debate of the week or a mixed bag of wrestling. Watch out for it. Peace out!